name's Deborah. I'm coming to you from Canberra, Australia, and this is a channel I started to help me with my unfinished projects problem. Right, so I've had a lot of competing deadlines over the last couple of months, and my sewing has been very organised for once. And today I've hit all the deadlines. And I'm just going to spend a day going where whatever I feel like doing takes me. So last weekend, my craft group and I had a day when we just sat together in someone's lounge room. We had trestle tables and sewing machines and hand sewing and knitting, and we sat and we chatted and we sewed, and I made a lot of food. So we ate. There was a really good cake that was excellent. And what I was doing was working with the what we've been calling Terry blocks. So Terry Rowland did this scrappy quilt, which seems to have gone viral in the quilting world. And you basically just use your scraps. Terry's idea was to have one fabric in the middle and then another fabric on the outside. I just have done random blocks. I've done improv, most of them improv, and I'm just putting them together as a big scrappy quilt. So the inspiration was initially Terry's, but they're not really like hers. I've been sitting here watching these videos as I edit them, and I realised that as I was talking about the Terry blocks and saying how my blocks are not like them, in the background on the design board are about 100 perfect examples of a Terry block. So have a look at those and then you'll know what I'm talking about. So I think that's T-Row Quilting. That's her YouTube channel, and her quilts like this are stunning. They're really beautiful. But okay, so I've been using mine, and I decided what I would do this time. I've made one previously. It's in the YouTube, on my YouTube channel, called Terry Quilt, I think. And I'll try and remember to leave a link in the comment section. Okay, so I've just been putting together squares, 9 blocks, and kind of similar colors, possibly something light in the middle and then similar colors on the outside. So it's they're fairly uniform. So this is my idea is to make these blocks blend into each other, basically. And I pressed these, and all of the pressing has gone haywire. So I'm going to press them again. Okay, it's to ease me into my sewing day today. I think I do have a couple of pairs of pants that I do want to wear in the summer, and we've just hit summer in here in Australia, and so I might even think about taking them up today, but I may just get absorbed in this making bigger blocks thing, because it's there's a little bit of creativity, there's a lot of just sitting at the sewing machine and whizzing stuff through, and that's kind of what I feel like doing today, for something that doesn't have a deadline. So I very rarely used black until I made an African quilt, which is also on my YouTube channel. I'll try and remember to leave a link for that too. And now I have a few black scraps, so they are being incorporated into all of the things all the scrappy things that I'm doing. I do really like these scrappy improv blocks. They're a lot of fun to produce. You do need like 600 plus of them to make a decent sized quilt, but it's just something to do when I feel like just doing something creative, but not with a deadline, not with a particular goal, just to make the blocks and use up the scraps. It's fun. I've been working away on these scrappy blocks. So I've got nine blocks in a colorway, pretty much as well as I could do it. I have webbed them together, and now I'm going along and doing these seams so that it's all together. I have quite a lot done. This is pretty much all I've been doing for the last couple of days. And I do actually do a lot of pressing. Let's put this up a bit. I do a lot of pressing with these. I like to get them as flat as possible at every stage. It makes it easier to join the scrappy blocks together, and then later it will make it easier to quilt. So, immaculately pressed at every stage. And I've got these ones that I've actually sewn together completely, but they still need to be pressed. So that will be the last thing I do. I have an appointment with a girlfriend to go to a fabric shop this afternoon. So I'm hoping I just get these all sewn together. The blocks actually made, but not necessarily all of them pressed. And I'm going to get some fabric for this quilt that's on the design board. My ideas kind of evolved as they always do. They always evolve after I've done a lot of sewing, and I am reluctant to unpick and change it. But in this case, I'm pretty sure I'm going to unpick quite a few and put a shinier fabric in the middle. And I might just I should put it up on the design board how I'm thinking it should look before I start taking blocks apart, shouldn't I? Possibly before I buy a lot of satiny fabric that I have no other use for. If I have time, I'll do that. I'm going to spend some time on the obsessive and careful ironing of these scrappy blocks. I've done the last two seams, so I will I'm just taking the lint off the ironing board at the moment with my IKEA lint remover. It's pretty good, but it's a bit wasteful because you're tearing off fluff saturated pieces of paper all the time. I used to get one that was kind of covered in a velourish kind of fabric, and you would brush it on things and then you just turn it around and brush it on some other surface and all of the fluff would just come off. I wonder if you still get something like that. Okay, so basically, because I started out as a dressmaker, I set my seams. I'm going to press the back first. I am just having a bit of a look at it to see whether I'm pressing in the direction that's going to make the least lumps. And I haven't actually thought through what consequence there is going to be there for being able to join blocks together with nesting seams. possibly something I should be thinking about carefully, but honestly, at this point in time, I just want to get this done and dusted and move on to the next thing for a while. I'm probably going to cut these into circles and make the partial circle quilt I've been wanting to make for a long time. But I have a big quilting book that has a pattern for beautiful like circles and curves and things in quilts, and it's all done with Japanese fabric, which I am a huge fan of and own a great deal of. So the jury's out as to whether there will be these circles or whether there'll be Japanese circles. In fact, there might be both. So I'm just going to potter along this pile here. That's the last of them. I had about 600, so I'm thinking there's probably about 60 of these completed blocks. Probably just a couple more. That could make a rectangle. So I might not need to do anything crazy with any of these, but I'm not going to be able to do it without fiddling, without making it more complicated and time consuming. It's just how we roll. I've just come into the sewing room in between doing a bit of gardening and getting ready to go out for a Christmas afternoon tea. Still working on some of these oven gloves. I'm hoping this is the last batch and I'll be able to get it all correct. So I had just a single one of this and a single one of this. So I decided to do a plain for the other side. I don't know if you can see that, the marks. I beautifully quilted these, cut them out, and they were in exactly the same, I'll just show you, they were in exactly the same configuration as the other side. So they have to be mirror images to actually work. So I unpicked them yesterday before I went to work, and today I am going to try very hard to just quilt that. I've put it on the other side so that it's now a mirror image. I'm hoping I can manage to quilt that. It all still fits. It's all beautifully done, and I can just put those together. Over this, I just want them finished and done and out of my sewing room. So I'm going to attempt this today. Hopefully I'll be able to get it all correct and go off to my afternoon tea knowing that I can just come home and finish these off. Not brilliant, but the edges of the lining and the batting line up. That's basically what I needed. Okay, I have worked endlessly on oven gloves to the point where I'm sick to death of them, and so I have pulled out some fabrics that I'm thinking I can get a quick result with, make something quite interesting. I have 2 of these dragon panels, and of course have 2 different ideas about what I can make. My initial goal was just to make a wall hanging to hang above my bed, and there's way too much fabric there to make just a wall hanging. There'll be a lot of leftovers. Goodness me, how bad could that be? But it's really quite big, and now that I've looked at it, and I've had a look at the other panel that I have there with the dragon heads and the borders, there are 4 strips of that border, and it's twice as long as it's showing up as there. I've got dragon scales in the green, This dragon is fairly green, but not as bright as that. I have this, which looks a bit like a crocodile skin. It's going to pass for dragons in this one. And these ones here, I've had an idea about how I'd like to use those, but it's not going to fit onto a wall hanging. And so I'm thinking I might go with my second idea, which is kind of a wild medieval fantasy novel quilt. And it's going to require me to get some pictures and some patterns that I already have blown up in size. So I'm going to have to go to my local office supply shop and get it blown up onto their A3 or even A2 paper. I want to have a castle. That is a beautiful castle, but it's not quite big enough for what I want. This one might have to be more in the background. I also will possibly try and do a medieval lady. There may even be a unicorn. You never know what's going to happen once I get going. I will wake up one morning with this scathingly brilliant idea and have to figure out how to make it happen with very little artistic ability whatsoever. Fortunately, I have a daughter-in-law who is a talented artist, and so we may collaborate. I might get them to make me a pattern for an applique for the lady. I will probably have to get them to do the lady's face. That is something I really don't feel confident about. And we might see what happens. I have at some stage apparently gone through a very Celtic stage. So I have the Celtic Art Source Book by Courtney Davis. There are all sorts of designs on here, separated from their larger context and coloured, all sorts of lovely things that you can do to give you inspiration. We have the Book of Kells painting book by Aidan Meehan. It has much simpler diagrams and something that it would be easy, things that it would be easy to copy and to utilize. They are fairly complex still, but there would be ways to simplify them. I have Celtic Quilting by Gail Lawther. That is basically how to quilt with Celtic designs, and has a lot of quite simple outlines of things in here. So I think that would actually be a really good one to try to utilize. You can get, or at least you used to be able to get, very narrow bias binding in all sorts of colors. It has an adhesive on the back, and so you can position it, iron it on to make it stick, and then sew it on, and that would be absolutely perfect for doing these sorts of designs. What else do we have? We have Celtic Quilts, a new look at ancient designs by Beth Ann Williams. That one has used quite a narrow bias binding to make all of this. It's got quite simple designs again that you can use. It's got things in colours. That's pieced, that border. Got big pages of designs that could be photocopied. And it's actually got some really inspiring things in here. I do love that. I don't know how I would incorporate it, but I'd like to give it a go. And there is, I think this is the one that has some birds. No, maybe this isn't it. I have one here that has some birds, stylized birds that are just gorgeous. Might be in here. This is Celtic Designs, an Arts and Crafts Source Book by David James. Again, some fairly elaborate things, but also some nice line diagrams. It would take a little bit of working out, but it might be worth it. And this one is U is for Unicorn, Medieval Designs for Applique by Eileen Campbell. This is a beautiful book from the Quilters Workshop. It has very gorgeous, elaborate patterns for an alphabet with a kind of a medieval-ish vibe to the background and to the things that are in it. But it also has, that's from a colouring book or something. It's a dragon without a head. So that actually looks like a kookaburra. Not a lot of medieval ladies in Australia. And that's a lyrebird. I think the person who actually wrote this book was Australian, which could explain that you need to get a few Aussie things in there. Yeah, so it's basically a sampler with these beautiful designs, but it also has patterns for and ideas for other things. So that's just use the background without the letter, and that's there. They are figures from one of the backgrounds, and they also have this castle. There is a pattern for the castle, which, where is that? Yeah, there it is. And so I have in the past gone to my local office supply shop and have patterns enlarged onto A3 and A3 and A2 paper, made them very large, and I could do that with that castle. And I've got the Lady and the Unicorn. There was an exhibition, I think, in the Museum of New South Wales Museum. I'm not sure what it's called, but it was like the State Museum for New South Wales. There was an exhibition in Sydney where the tapestries of the Lady and the Unicorn were brought out and put on display. So I bought the book because I absolutely love those. What is it? Oh, the Art Gallery of New South Wales. And this has close-ups of the tapestries. And one of the things I have wanted to do for a long time is make a tent and have some medieval ladies or just something revolving around the tent. And I have some fabric that I made. It's a patchwork fabric. It uses a slightly ombre fabric, and I've put it together in half square triangles, and it makes me think of a tent, possibly not a medieval tent, possibly more something like a circus tent, but I will pull it out again, have another look and see whether I think it might work in the context. But I know I want ladies, I want dragons, I want a tent, I might want a unicorn. I'm not really sure. As I have no artistic ability whatsoever, I might have to get said daughter-in-law, who is a fabulous artist, to create something for me, either a pattern for an applique, or they could draw it on canvas and I could just applique it on. Maybe we might be able to come up with something. Might be they've actually been experimenting with vinyl prints on t-shirts. We might be able to do something along those lines. But yeah, so this is these are the things that are inspiring me. I really don't know what I'm going to come up with. I don't know whether I'm going to be able to achieve it. I'm in a phase of my life where I've actually got the time to try and achieve the vision. I don't have to rush to finish things anymore. And so I may just have a play. There's just such beautiful, beautiful pieces of these tapestries that are absolutely glorious. Makes me want to take up embroidery. Possibly not enough for me to actually do it. Anyway, I'll be thinking about these for a while.